Starvation on a really bad day. Everybody just gotta go say, I'm gonna be.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Tonight we have a ton to go over, so stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
Everybody just gotta go say, I'm gonna be. Okay, starvation on a really bad day. Everybody just gotta go say, I'm gonna be. Okay, starvation on a really bad day. Everybody just gotta go say,
all right.
I'm gonna be.
What is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. If this is your first time here, remember that you can always go over to marfooglenews.com and follow along and sign up for our email alerts. In fact, over on the website, if you just look for tonight's thumbnail, the entire website is organized by that. You will see that we have a full bibliography of tonight's sources. So when you go to Tomorrow's Farmland Starvation, you will see that every single article, tweet, video, picture, document, archived article is going to be there at your fingertips. That way you can grab a second device and you can follow along, or of course you can go back retrospectively, check our work, or you can make connections for yourself. There is a ton that is archived for the last 2 years there, and then you can also use the search bar up in the corner. Any subject that you can possibly think of, we've most likely talked about it and covered it in a previous episode. Then you can go back to that episode and catch yourself up on it, and or go look at the chat from that episode and see what everybody else thinks. Once you hit a yellow bar down at the bottom, just want to let you know that's web-only content. That is the stuff that is too hot for TV. We have more visitors on our website than actually watch our show now. So again, you can go over there and check out all of the great news over there. That is a amazing resource for everything that is too far to one direction for us to cover while staying neutral. That is, just way out there. Some of the crazier stuff is over there, and then some of the more sane stuff is out there. The stuff that, of course, will be called Disinfo today, and of course Fact tomorrow. On the right side, if you do want to go over and support us in any way, if you are looking to prep, you can go to any of the links over on the right side, like the solar energy generator or NordVPN, or of course EMP Shield or Alexa Pure over at Patriot Supply. Any of those are affiliate links. That basically means once you go over to there, it will go and let them know that we sent you. That will give us a commission, and in most cases give you a discount. On EMP, for example, it will give you $50 off for your device, and that's something that will help you get prepared, and it will help our independent channel out. Because of the topics that we talk about, essentially that is, again, a big part of how we can keep going and make our living. So everybody, thank you that has supported us through 4 years of this crazy roller coaster of all of the platforms and on and off and everything else. So let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing tonight?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
So we have a ton to get into, so we'll get right into it. We have a strong 6.6 magnitude earthquake striking off of Taiwan earlier. So it says That an earthquake in Taipei with a magnitude of 6.6 struck off the coast of Taiwan early on Wednesday, the U.S. Geological Survey said. There were no immediate reports of fatalities or injuries or major damage. The USGS said that the quake, which was downgraded from an earlier estimate of a magnitude 6.9, had a depth of 10 kilometers or 6 miles and hit 70 kilometers south of Hualien City. Now, the main part about this, of course, to anybody that is in Taiwan, that is a big deal. But even more so is anyone around the world. Anyone who lives on a fault or near a fault should know that now science is completely behind the instance of essentially a big earthquake like this, anything bigger than a 6.0. Any earthquake can trigger another earthquake somewhere else in the world. In fact, if you watch Dutch, he talks about antipodes, where one will go off on this side of the planet, and you'll see one just like it on the opposite side of the planet. And he has his own system, but scientists are starting to now go along with that as well. They know for a fact that one earthquake can trigger another. 20 years ago, that would have been considered, some sort of theory, right? Some crazy theory. But now, all the scientists, now they have more than enough proof to show that that is actually the case. And it makes perfect sense. If you have a ball with, say, a crust around it, say you have a ball of pie and you've baked a crust around it, if you shake any of the crust on this side, it's going to move all of the crust all around it. Or on the piece of paper, whatever shape you want it to be. But again, no matter what, if you shake something over here, it's going to shake something over there. So that is a big quake. Anybody on the West Coast should be aware of their surroundings. If we do have anything, and again, this is far away, but that doesn't really matter as far as earthquakes and as far as stuff like that. It seems to be like it's going to get into earthquake season. We had a big earthquake just about a week ago, and of course now this is a higher kind of time for this. It seems like they all come in these kind of bursts. Anybody that follows earthquakes there's like an earthquake season. But it randomly changes. Christina Marie, thank you so much for supporting. Jason Evans, thank you for subscribing. Geraldine Mitchell and Stormy Sky 08, thank you for subscribing. And welcome, guys. M. Clark, thanks for following over on Twitch. And then thank you, everybody that has popped in. Lars Stefan Holmberg, welcome to the fam. So if you have video of any earthquake, send it to us. Go to marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo. And then we have temperatures in Antarctica reach 70 degrees warmer than normal. Before we talk about this, I do want to remind you, tonight is a call-in show. So make sure to go over to 2244-00-MARF. If you do want to call in, if you experienced an earthquake recently and you have video of it, or you want to bring it into the show, or, of course, if you have anything that goes along with any of the stuff we talk about, give us a call, 2244-00-MARF. That number is scrolling right here. And again, 2244-00-6273. That later on, it will show you what that MARF is translated into. So that number is going to go by twice, about every minute and a half. So if you need it again, don't worry, it's going to be swinging back around. Thank you, and hey, thank you everybody that's popping in over on DLive. Thank you. It looks like we have several folks already coming in, so thank you. And let's see, we have Vicky K, Gas Electric, Annette LaPow, and Stormblade X69. Thank you for gifting a badge to Lemon Frosting. And Serenity PA, thank you guys for being loyal and being here almost every night. Thank you. And then we have the temperatures in Antarctica reach 70 degrees warmer than normal. So that sounds pretty freaky. Earth's poles are undergoing simultaneous, freakish, extreme heat with parts of Antarctica more than 70 degrees Celsius warmer than average, and areas of the Arctic more than 50 degrees warmer than average. It says weather stations in Antarctica shattered records Friday as the region neared autumn. The 2-mile-high Concordia station was at 10 degrees, which is about 70 degrees warmer than the average, while the even higher Vostok station hit a shade above 0 degrees, about negative 70 degrees Celsius, beating its all-time record by about 27 degrees. Again, that's according to a tweet from extreme weather record tracker Maximiliano Herrera. It says a coastal Terra Nova base, which, by the way, Terra Nova was the show I was talking about the other day, and I couldn't remember the name. That's kind of funny. So if you guys know what I was talking about with Terra Nova was the show I was mentioning that had a realistic view of what Earth would look like in the year 2100 if it goes as they say it is, where everyone has rebreathers, and that's the show where they essentially went back to the prehistoric times of the dinosaurs in a time travel machine to try to save humanity. I don't think that that's in the books for us, but possibly going to another planet, that may be. But yeah, that was the show, Terra Nova. It was one of the best shows, and they canceled it after one season. Either way, the extreme things and the reasons why, in fact, Terra Nova, that show basically said that our planet was going to crap, and in the year 2100, it was just completely destroyed. I think they even picked 2100 as their date, right? So they are saying that we are going to run out of gas in 40 years. They say that we're going to run out of oil in 40 years and 60 years. So natural gas in 60 years, oil in 40 years. There's different numbers that are thrown around, but they're all within 100 years. They're within our lifetime of us running out of natural resources. And if that is true, and it would make sense if that was true, the reason why everything is, they want to get everything over to electrics, I don't know. But again, that's what they're saying, right? And it would make sense if that's why people like Elon Musk are trying to get off planet, and why all of the elites and the people that are the richest people in the world, the most connected, know absolutely all of the secret information, are buying rockets and trying to get off of planet. Don't know, but just a hunch. Jessica Smith says power outages in Kansas feeling weird this spring. Shakeups in local government overnight. I don't know what's going on over there, but I do know over here it is just the same. God bless you and Dex. And then apparently Dex is possibly going to get some storms, and there's tornadoes near you. Dex, isn't that right? You had some tornadoes pretty close to you, or is that at all close to you?
Yeah, the storm front that hit Texas, I guess, is about to hit us soon in the next few hours.
So as you've seen, most likely on local news, they've been showing Texas had a few tornadoes. Social media like TikTok, there's a lot of videos that just kind of happen in flurries when there are tornadoes. You see all of these videos put out. Pretty scary stuff, especially when you're talking about tornadoes that are going, hundreds of miles an hour. It says they are opposite seasons. You don't see the North and the South poles both melting at the same time. Meyer told the Associated Press Friday evening, it's definitely an unusual occurrence. It's pretty stunning, Meyer added. Wow, I have never seen anything like this in the Antarctic, said the University of Colorado ice scientist Ted Scambos, who returned recently from an expedition to the continent. It says, not a good sign when you see that sort of thing happen, said University of Wisconsin meteorologist Matthew Lazzara. It says Lazzara monitors temperatures at East Antarctica's Dome C2 and logged 14 degrees Friday, where the normal is negative 45. That's, again, about 60 degrees off, right? Negative 45 to positive 14. It says that's a temperature you should see in January, not March. January is summer there. That's dramatic. It says both Lazzara and Meyer said what happened in Antarctica probably just a random weather event and not a sign of the great change that everybody talks about. It says, but if it happens again or repeatedly, then it might be something to worry about and part of global. It says the Antarctic warm spell was first reported by the Washington Post. So just to kind of go over this, if you're having these extreme events, if we keep seeing these, it doesn't matter whether a scientist needs to tell us this or not, but when there are things like this happening in my lifetime, and I'm sure in most of yours, most of you noticed over the last 8 or 9 years, we have seen these extreme weather events go up and up and up. And even if you don't believe in that that 2-word combo there, the change, either way, something is happening, and something is definitely, at least it's becoming a whole lot different. So I guess some are on the angle of that it is manufactured or created or whatever, controlled. Either way, something is definitely happening. And we see all of this happening, and a lot of people think that something is going on with the poles. So it's just kind of freaky to see this with the South and the North poles having these freaky events. As we know, the poles have been moving, and they have been slowly, well, not even slowly, they've been fast, and they've been very quickly moving. They have jumped and basically darted all over the place, and if you are tracking that, then you would know there's some really kind of alarming movement with the poles. We don't know exactly what would happen if they completely flip, if the North and South Pole just completely go, 100% flip, 180, boom, or 360, boom. But it's not something that a lot of us are, just holding our breath and waiting for. We're hoping it does not happen in our lifetime, but it very well could. Irish Rebel says, what do you think of the President B's NW comment, and how do you think President P might take it? So Irish Rebel, a lot of people are talking about that, and what they've done now so people don't talk about it is they've attached it to the number 17 group. And here's what I think. I don't need him to say it or anyone else to say that we're in a new order, right? It doesn't, I already know that. I don't get why, in fact, I don't know. It's almost like people are like, see, he said it. It's been said so many times by so many different groups of people. It's like, of course it is. It's like, I only wonder if it's being a big deal because people are able to go, do you see, he said it. But in that sense, it's like, of course it is. Look at what is happening in our world. I don't even know why people need them to say it. There have been so many politicians and different people that have said it for years now, and it's like it's not even a secret to them anymore. But again, that is what they've done to it. Just like many other things that they attach to certain groups of people that they've already, taken down, and that's the way they can control it. But as far as that, who didn't see that coming? I guess I don't need confirmation. We already know it's here. We already know that it's happening right now in front of us. Look at what's happening overseas. It's insane. It's insanity. Ho Operator says, check out Operation Cloverleaf. And thanks to you, Dex and Mods. Elizabeth Piverness, thank you for your support. And Don Alberta, thank you for massive support. Thank you for the super sticker. And Heather Hatch, thank you for everything, gentlemen. I so love the show. Well, Heather, we love you too. So thank you. What do you think about the polls? What do you think? Do you think that we are going to see a poll shift in our lifetime? Leave a comment down below or give me a call at 2244-006273. That is again 2244-400, and that is 6273. And then we have fertilizer prices just hit a record high, sparking fears of global starvation and the worst food insecurity level since WW2. So we have followed every little sign and every little step of this. And at the very least, we know that the supply chain is stretched, whether it be manufactured or on purpose or on accident or because of the events that are going on right now. We know that almost every food has been hit by different things that are going on. We know that cargo shipments from overseas are delayed and behind, and nothing is being fixed. It very well seems that, of course, the dragon over in the east is not trying to work with this anymore in a lot of ways. And then, of course, we have this going on. Farmlands, for the last 3 or 4 years, we have actually known a lot of the farmers in the Fugel fam say, one of them said that it was at one point they commented that their corn was supposed to be above their heads and it was at their knees. And essentially that year was a complete waste for their entire family. That is something we've heard over and over and over again. So no matter what you think that they're doing to get to that, or if you think it's happening naturally, either way, something scary is happening. We have mass die-offs of animals all over the world. We have, massive sea life dying. You have coral reefs basically dying. And I know people, when I lived on Orcas Island, I met a couple people who, they were divers, and now they actually go out and their entire job is to go and study all of the reef system, like the barrier reef system and all of that. And they have been cataloging all of the barrier reefs dying. And I could sit there and they showed me 2.5 hours of before and afters just from a year and a half. They showed whole swaths of areas dying. And they were showing me with their laptop, they said, here is, it was like 2018 and then to 2020. And it's like now these guys are respected divers and they're part of this huge group and they go out on these huge expedition ships that are, taken care of and paid for entirely by grants and stuff. It is very scary what they said. And this is one thing that really stuck with me is they said that they believe in the next 10 years we won't have coral reefs. And I thought about that, and that really hit me hard. I don't know what they are saying in the mainstream about that, but what they said is that they are quietly talking to each other, saying that they think that the reef system is going to just all out and just go. They said that it is speeding up exponentially. I am not an expert on this, but I know that the coral reef system is a big part of the ocean. It's the longest living kind of ocean bioorganisms out there. So if we are now seeing less bugs, we are seeing less everything, which, by the way, farming and everything else, this ties into all of these mass die-offs. You're not seeing insects. There's actually something I learned about just the other day from a Fugel fam member when we were on the show talking about the windshield theory. As people used to remember when they would drive across country, they would get, thousands of bugs on their windshield. But now there's a whole lot less. Well, we're not the only ones experiencing that. If you type in less bugs, we did this live the other night. Every country is experiencing a mass die-offs of these bugs. If we lose insects and we lose the coral reef system and we lose ocean life and all of these whales and animals are beaching themselves, think about what that means for humans. Now, you can argue all day who caused it. Most of the people that don't think it's happening because of us, they still believe it's happening. They just think it's natural. So it's like, it's getting scary. So I would say people need to be more spiritually prepared for the great changes that are happening right now and not be afraid and just get used to what is happening right now. As far as food, this is why people have been prepping. This is why people have been stocking up. It says farmers worldwide are feeling the sting of sanctions as the UKR conflict has sent fertilizer prices soaring to all new time highs. It says prompting concerns over a global food shortage. Fertilizer prices last week were nearly 10% higher than the week before, according to Green Market's North America Fertilizer Price Index, the highest price point ever recorded. Prices are now 40% higher than a month ago before the invasion of UKR. It says the surge in fertilizer prices reveals how dependent many of the world's farms are on Russian exports. Countries already afflicted by the food insecurity now risk further production bottlenecks and food shortages at the worst possible time. Now, another thing to think about this is if this is up, we have gas is up, we have, of course, transportation, everything else is up. This means for the local person who's already where their money is down, their income is down, and inflation is up, this is putting people in the poorhouse. As far as, and these farmers that are barely getting by from the previous mentioned weather and everything else that's going on, this is really, really bad. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If people can see with their own eyes, look at the world over the last 5 years. It's gotten worse and worse and worse. Don't mean to be negative, but that's just what my opinion is. And then Song Smith from Canada. Thank you so much for your generous support. I hope that was on purpose. I hope that wasn't supposed to be $6. Thank you so much. Again, thank you from Canada, Song Smith. And then Bible Talk 777. Here's to impressive self-control. God bless you, Adam. Hey, no problem. And then Steven Siltz, thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate you. All right, and then again, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you. And then Senators mull the unthinkable. President P donating a nuclear bomb. Detonating a nuclear bomb. Senators reacted with alarm to a new report that suggested Russian Prez Vlad could deploy a small targeted nuclear boom as his troops get bogged down in a costly drawn-out battle against defiant UKR fighters. So many of you know my opinion on this. I think that there is so much ganda going out every which way that it is really hard to tell what is really going on. But it says that one key senator, Marco Rubio, out of Florida, said he believed such an attack could force NATO allies, including the United States, to invoke their collective defense under Article 5 of the alliance's charter and retaliate against Russia, especially if nuclear fallout drifts over the UKR border and kills or sickens civilians living in Poland or other NATO countries. It says, quote, as you detonate a nuclear weapon inside of UKR, depending on what it is they detonate, even in a demonstration, they would spread radioactive material that would cross borders potentially. So when you read this, do any of you in the back of your head think of a Fantastic Freddy? Or how are they to tell, is it possible that something could just come out of the sky, hit, go boom, boom, drift over a border, and quite possibly not be the same country that they thought that was actually doing it? Maybe a 3-letter agency or something else or someone behind it. Or somebody makes it looks like it is a certain country when it is not. I would hate to say that, but if you look throughout history, they've done a lot of events like that. The word is not Fantastic Freddy, but it starts with the same 2 letters. What do you think when you hear that? If radioactive material blows across the Polish border, they would argue they've been attacked. Radiation kills people. It certainly creates a long-term health problem. He continued, so we're dealing in uncharted territory at that point. The danger in this process always is that someone will do something that they don't consider to cross the line, but the people they're aiming at to do it consider it to be crossing a certain line, and that's how you find yourself in escalations. So essentially saying if they they're detonated in UKR, and then it goes over the borders. Some of you I know have been messaging me think that they do want to take out they want to take out Vlad. They want to take out his country. They want to move in and they want to set up there. Some of you even think that the dragon in the east is actually setting him up to fail and secretly wants to take him out too. So it would just be two in that major power status room, right? So it would just be U.S. and of course the dragon over in the east. That is that's another thing too. It's like I think that the dragon is totally involved in almost all of this, but that's just my personal opinion. It says Duckworth said she needed to study the issue before commenting further on such a sensitive topic, but Article 5 stipulates that an attack on any NATO country is an attack on all of its members. Just remember, they are telling us this in every avenue, as far as across every single news outlet. They are telling us these things. Is this to put it in the back of our heads so when it does happen, they basically have us already expecting it, and none of us are surprised. None of us scream out loud saying, hey, this is wrong. They already knew that it was going to happen. Before we go to our callers, again, the number to call is 224-400-MARF. It looks like we have Gigi, a first-time caller. And again, before we take her call, I will ask you to go over and check out EMP Shield if you have not already. EMP Shield can actually protect your car, your house, your generator, your solar generator, even your ham radio. They make a device for pretty much everything that you want to protect against an EMP or a CME. This is marfooglenews.com/EMP. You'll actually be able to see they are still working with agencies like DOD, DHS, and of course the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. So essentially all of the U.S. in some way or some part is getting their products to protect themselves. So why are we? Again, you can go over and check it out. It will protect your car against all three phases of an EMP, E1, E2, and E3. It will protect your house. It will protect your generator. All of those things, again, have a device for them. Pretty much anything you want to run after an EMP, this can do the job. It grounds the signal in a picosecond before it's able to fry your device. So again, that's marfooglenews.com/EMP. When you do that, you will get $50 off per device, and you will also help our channel at the same time. All right, and then Dex, let's get our first caller in, and it looks like Gigi is going to be talking about the vet caregiver program, and it seems like we found someone who actually was affected by that.
And Adam, Gigi is live.
All right, Gigi,
Hello.
You're live on Marfoogle News. What's going on?
Hi. Yeah, I'm a caregiver for my husband, and I've been his caregiver since 2011, since his injury in the line of duty. And I actually am part of the caregiver program, the program of comprehensive assistance for family caregivers from the VA. And I actually was dropped. I got the news just before Christmas, and I'm currently right now sitting in the appeals process. I have somebody helping me out with that. And as of today, I actually found out that the deputy secretary had made an announcement that they've put a pause to it to look at revamping this process of the caregiver program for the assessment part of it. So I welcome that news. I don't know what's going to happen with me being as a caregiver for my husband in the program. I hope that things go good, but quite frankly, the VA caregiver program has been a lifeline and has helped me to be able to keep my husband alive while being able to advocate for him and to take care of him on a 24/7 basis. So I really appreciated when I heard that you did an article on this the other day. So thank you for helping us bring a light to this. This is a much needed topic because it's affecting so many caregivers across this nation.
Well, first off, thank you, and thank you for your husband for his service. When we saw that, we were pretty shocked. Both of us have different military in our friends and family, and it's really horrid. What we covered last night, if you watched last night's show, is an article that went over essentially this caregiver program that essentially pays the wife or spouse, or I believe it doesn't have to be a wife or spouse, but somebody who is a family member to actually take care of that person from the VA. And this program for many was just halted out of nowhere. And essentially the money that would, that is paid is actually paid to the wife or whoever takes care of them, was just cut. Now, was yours stopped all of a sudden, or did they give you warning, or did they say, hey, in 3 months it's going to be cut off, or is it just being paused and they say, oh, we'll try to work you back in? Do you know?
So currently, yeah, absolutely. So for me, they gave me a December 1st deadline. So I'm still currently getting paid until December 1st, and then it will be cut off. And that's how that they're doing the legacy caregivers. And that was the warning for all of us. And you are right, with the caregivers don't necessarily have to be a spouse. In fact, only about a third of us are spouses. Most are like parents. They could be children. They could be a neighbor. They could be a friend. That is the caregivers. So a lot of people don't actually know that they're a caregiver too. Just because you may or may not be in the caregiver program doesn't mean that you're not a caregiver. But I just so happen to be in that program of comprehensive assistance for the family caregivers program. So, yeah, and I see that you are shedding a light on the Elizabeth Dole Foundation's Hidden Heroes page. I want to take a moment to say thank you so much. There are 5.5 million military and veteran caregivers in our country. And the Hidden Heroes page is a great resource for caregivers. Many of us do not have the resources that we need, simply because like I said, we don't always identify as a caregiver. We just see ourselves just helping our loved ones or our friends, taking care of that veteran, just because we have such a passion for our veteran and wanting to make sure that they live the best life. They served honorably. They need the help that they need. And so we go in at this full force. And many of us quit our jobs to take care of them. And so it's a big pay cut. The Hidden Heroes Initiative, the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, has resources that are phenomenal, that, whatever the caregiver needs. It's really a focus on taking care of the caregiver. And they also are advocating right now on the Hill for this caregiver program and what is going on. Steve Schwab, the CEO, is supposed to be testifying tomorrow in regards to this.
I'm sorry, did you say his last name was Schwab? Is that right?
Yes, Steve Schwab. He is the CEO of the Elizabeth Dole Foundation.
Okay, different. Okay. Now, I hope that people go over and check this out. We were also told that this was one of the best ways that you can actually help this cause. We have a ton of veterans, as you may know, in our Fugel fam, and a lot of folks that have served in our audience. And this is, I almost wonder if they need money for something else. Why would they cut this out of all the things that they could cut, out of all of the big paychecks that some of these politicians get? And if you look at the amount that would be cut out from doing this, I don't know if it's going to help or hurt, because like you said, you took a pay cut to do this. They would probably pay a whole lot more having that vet somewhere else. It's kind of like they're just leaving him out to dry, because if they don't continue to go and pay for the vets, for you to care, and they're paying you most likely less than they're paying to put them somewhere else. They say that some of these places are cheaper than paying an in-home caregiver, but I don't know. Because then they may have more problems down the line. They may end up having more depression. They may have their health go downhill because of that. So I don't see what I really don't see what the point is here, unless something is going on with where they're shifting that money or what. It doesn't make sense.
I can't explain that myself. The Mission Act is to expand the caregiver program to all areas of caregivers. The legacy caregivers are was the original caregiver program, the program of comprehensive assistance, and it was for the post 9/11 caregivers. That's how it was initially started. That is who is being dropped, is the post 9/11, the 6,000 caregivers, and so they are expanding it to all areas. But again, I don't know the money, what's going on. I can't say anything to that. But as far as saving taxpayer dollars, I mean, there are a lot of veterans who would be inpatient if it wasn't for a caregiver. They would not be able to access the care. They would not be able to get their medications on time. I know specifically, like with my own personal situation with my own veteran, he would not be able to go physically get to his appointment because he is legally blind. So who's going to drive my husband? There's nobody. And there's nobody to sit there and advocate with the providers on behalf of my husband. He won't speak up. So it's a real problem. And what we really need for people to do, like you said yesterday, I actually did watch the show, and I was so grateful when you had said, please call your senators and your congressmen and tell them that you don't want the legacy caregivers to be removed from the program. I think that's the best way to help this situation, is to really kind of help get that ground going and really support us, because we really could use your help with this program. Now,
Dex, was this an update that it shows VA to halt dismissals from the caregiver program? Did enough people yell, or do we know?
Yeah, this is the article Gigi gave us. It's the most current. That's what she was mentioning earlier, that they're halting it for review, but it doesn't mean that the outcome is going to be any different. And that's why people need to reach out and talk to their representatives.
Yes.
And
yes, this is a fluid situation.
It also says that the suspension marks the third time that the VA has halted discharges pending a planned reconstructing of the. When they say reconstructing, I'm sorry, but most of the time it's in a bad way, and they're just trying. You know what happens is when they need money for something, they try to go for. They and this is the messed up part. Why would they ever go close to anything with the VA? The veterans and the folks that either gave their life, or especially the vets that come home injured and hurt or permanently disfigured from whatever may have happened. You said your husband's legally blind now. I mean, that changed his life forever. And he did it for his country. He did it fighting for the country that everybody's paying taxes to. And then they pick that program. They say, oh, okay, we're going to go for this program. They're looking at things and thinking like, oh, well, we could just pull from here. Sometimes I really feel like evil out of this. It's like, pull it out of something like a program that, there's so many stupid programs. I'm sorry. There's some really, really dumb ones we cover. And I'm like, why wouldn't you pull it from that instead of this? And when you look at the amounts of money, it just doesn't make any sense. So thank you, Gigi. And I hope enough people reach out and make a big deal out of this to the point where they can't do it. They'll get national coverage. Everybody will start, chiming in about this. It's like they thought nobody would notice or something.
Yeah, I really appreciate you bringing this to light. The more people that will call and help us, the better, because we really do need your help. This is very much needed, and so many people will benefit from it. And quite frankly, it's important to help our national treasures, our veterans, and the caregivers who are supporting our veterans. So thank you so much.
Well, just a couple years ago, one of the lead people at the VA said that most of these VA are homeless, and made a comment about how, nobody, they're the invisible people. They're an invisible few. And a lot of the times they're the ones who get shafted, because a huge percentage of these guys who come back with PTSD or something else, they end up either homeless or jobless because of the stresses and the things they've seen, with anger issues and lifelong therapy and all sorts of really bad problems. And it's all done for their country. So it's sad that they're the first ones that they end up putting on the chopping block as far as money to go to or from. Well, thank you, Gigi, for calling in, and I'm so glad that you found out about us, and I appreciate you. Okay.
Thank you so much, and thank you for helping to bring this to light. I appreciate it.
And we are linking Standing with Our Hidden Heroes. This will be on our website, marfooglenews.com. The link will be under the caller, Gigi. Again, that call will be at the very bottom of today's page. Within the next few minutes, it will be updated if it's not already. Thank you so much again, Gigi. You have a wonderful night, and God bless you, all right?
God bless you. Thank you.
Bye-bye. So right here where it says caller info, is where Gigi's info, and by the time you're most likely watching this, most of the replay watchers, it will already be there. All right, and then back to the news. President B heads to Europe in an effort to bolster the Western alliance. It says that the president's decision to visit Poland reflects that the country's position is at the epicenter of an intensifying refugee crisis, as about 300,000 UKR refugees have sought safety in Warsaw. So I just want you to kind of remember the article we just talked about, how, of course, Marco Rubio is saying, oh, well, if it just happens that something goes off and something just happens to blow over the border of Poland, and then it just so happens that our president is visiting the president, and they're going to probably have a closed-door meeting at some point. I don't know. Just thought that was interesting. Poland is the biggest and arguably the most central country on Europe's eastern flank. It's a big deal, bordering UKR and Belarus on one side and Germany on the other. It says with Washington and Warsaw recently at odds over whether to provide fighter jets to UKR, President B's visit is an opportunity to make the case that the alliance remains united despite such differences. Despite some calls for him to do so, President B does not plan to visit UKR, the White House said on Monday, given the dangers of a president entering a zone. It says President B's trip, only his third overseas journey since taking office, will begin in Brussels, where he will attend a NATO summit, a group of 7 meeting, and a session of European Union heads of state. He will then travel to Poland, meeting with President Andrzej Duda on Saturday. So I wonder what's going to be worked out in this. You have multiple world leaders that are going to be speaking with our prez, and they're going to be working out something. So I would say if anything weird was going to happen, it would most likely be after this. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what is worked out in these meetings. Lola Cafe, thank you for the support. I appreciate you. And Lola Cafe, you've been here for a very long time. Thank you so much for being a familiar face for probably 3 years now, so thank you. Andrew McWilliams, been watching for a year now, retired Marine, V-22 air crew. Pray for the lost Marines in Norway training to fight the bear. Andrew McWilliams, by the way, thank you for being a part of this as well, and it really does impress me. Thank you, everybody, for you have to understand, you are a part of this channel as far as your chat. That goes into everything as well. So thank you for saying the bear instead of the roost, right? So thank you. Otherwise, where would you guys meet? I mean, I'm sure you could find another channel, but it'd be pretty hard. You can't really call everybody and say, hey, let's meet over at this channel. So thank you, everybody. Again, that's a perfect opportunity. If ever we just all of a sudden disappear, you can go over to our website. If you have not signed up for our email alerts, make sure to go do so. If anything ever happens to us, we would let you know through this. All you need is an email address. So again, if you're worried about that, make one if you have to. Just go over and subscribe to it. Again, all you need is an email address, and you can get our alerts. So, and you can sign up for our actual notifications through Chrome. We don't have iPhone notifications. That's a little bit harder, but we do have Chrome. And if you have Chrome on your Apple, you can believe you can still get it. Ninja Squirrel, 2 of my nieces are caring for me through the same program. I absolutely 100% need them. This is terrible. Yeah, we have a lot. And Ninja Squirrel, again, another vet. I don't understand why they are always on the first on the chopping block. I've been doing this for 4 years, covering pretty much everything that's come out, and it seems like the vets always get the short straw. I mean, why? I guess I don't. The planet has changed over the last 20 years, even to the point I just don't recognize it. Bible Talk 777. Well, actually, from before I was born, even. A lot of the NAM vets, like, they just did not get the support they needed. Read or listen to the Bible audio. Be on fire for Jesus. No more lukewarm. This will be the worst summer in many's life. Maybe everybody's. Prep, preach, and pray for the Lord's return. Bible Talk 777, thank you for the massive support. And Ike Entz, thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the Foogle fam. Al Williams and Tony Ludovico from Canada, thank you for your support. Peter Yesavon, Yeshavasun, thank you. And Tony, thank you. And Simply Pony, thank you as well. And then we, of course, we'll follow what happens after President B visits. I bet within 3 days of it, something will happen. And then, of course, the bear faces running out of food, and conflict could be over in weeks. That is, of course, like everything that is coming out, is a big blue highlighted word here. If you haven't noticed, most everything that is being put on every mainstream media is coming from this side. It's directly from their Ministry of Defense. Personally, this is a smaller... Dex, do we have the population of all of UKR? Do we know how many people actually live in the whole country? Prior, obviously. Is there a way we can just...
Was that UKR you were asking about, Adam? Sorry.
Yeah. What is the entire...
44 million in 2020.
Okay, and before all of this happened, I don't know. I mean, they don't have the crazy, they don't have a super powerful army. Obviously, that's what they've talked about, right? Before. They don't have advanced technology. They don't have a space program. They don't have many of these things. But yet, everyone is basically listening to their Ministry of Defense. Their Ministry of Defense apparently is the best around, because apparently UKR has like some sort of secret entrance into Vlad's personal thoughts. And I'm not saying this to be coy. I'm literally saying, how is UKR getting all of this information from the other side? How are they getting all of this intel? I don't understand it. Why wouldn't it? Even if it's real intel, wouldn't you think it would be coming from the U.S. or from one of our allies like Europe? Because the U.S. is tracking every cell phone on the planet. The U.S. has the Trojan horse, or, China does, but I probably wouldn't give it to them, right? When I see UKR Ministry of Defense says this intel, I usually think, okay, so maybe the U.S. fed them that intel, or it's them just saying it. How are they getting, this is not just this, it's everything that they're saying is like stuff, it's like they're saying that the bear troops are set to run out of food, fuel, and ammunition in just 3 days. Now, you could say, oh, well, they took hostage, some of these guys surrendered. They took them and they said, hey, what's going on? And they're like, oh, well, yeah, actually, before we got captured, we were 3 days away from running out of food. What do you mean? The whole army is just out of food? They shipped enough blood supplies to run like a 5-year conflict, and they didn't bring food? Something about that does not sit right. Or maybe it's certain parts. Is it just one group? Is it over here? they're right there. They can actually just go back and grab more food. It doesn't seem like that would be the thing that really ends the conflict is food. Dex, do you have a thought on this? Like, it's just something about that doesn't really sit right. And this is like the fourth or fifth time that it's just main headlines about their intel, right?
Yeah, we've heard this before. It's just sort of like a repeat, right? In some way, shape, or form. Like they're going to run out, or they don't have this, or they're out of fuel, or they're out of food, and it keeps coming, right? It somehow they survive, and somehow they come back and tell us they're going to run out again. So it'll be the proof's in the pudding. We'll find out eventually, or maybe we'll never really know, but. If they can't get that in there, then you're going to have a bunch of hungry and angry and upset, people that are trying to do their job and can't do it. So they may not do it. Right. So we'll have to, sort of wait and see what really happens here. That's definitely one of the most critical parts of a large troop is you have to keep it supplied. If you can't keep it supplied, they can't really do anything productive. Right.
Well, and part of this is like a huge part of conflict is the mental and the brain games that they play, right? So one thing I want everybody to think about is the mental aspect and the morale aspect. Everything that UKR has put out has basically said that Russia is just completely fumbling around, that they're completely failing. First of all, I think do never underestimate your enemy. I'm not carrying anybody's water or any of that. I think President Putin is just a gross human being. If you know some of the stuff that happened before all of this, he's part of the WEF, right? He's part of all of that. But again, this is like it's all games. These are all games being played. Every couple days, we get a story about how positive and how crazy good they're doing and how bad Russia's doing. I just still don't believe that they're just fumbling around and their military is just so completely unprepared. Russia's military is one of the most brazenly just drill. They drill for every scenario. Now, there are real life events that happen and you don't expect, but it would never be widespread through their military. One of the things that they're strong at is, that's their one thing that they hold on to, is they have a crazy, insane military. They don't have a GDP. They spend a third of all of their money all into their military because that's how that hold on to that major power title. If they didn't have their nukes and their military, they would not be a world power. Think about that. Their GDP is less. All of the money in Russia that they make a year is less than what New York has. Now, New York is just absurd. In fact, New York makes as much as whole countries, not even just Russia, like other countries you would think would have more. So what is really happening here, I don't think we'll ever know. And then again, the cabezas begin to roll in bear country. It says European media report says that President Vlad ordered the house arrest of two senior Federal Security Service officers. Colonel General Sergei Beseda, chief of the FSB's Fifth Service, reportedly was detained along with his deputy, Anatoly Bolyuk, charged with providing flawed intelligence about UKR and their improper use of operational funds. Separately, Olusky Denolov, UKR's National Security Council chief, claimed that several generals have been fired. The implications portend more suffering yet to come, but likewise opportunities to increase pressure on the Rus leader from within. So, first of all, we don't know if they're getting fired or they're spies. During a conflict, there's going to be spies. We also don't know if this is actually what is going on. They could be fired because they were giving out information. They could be fired for many different things, but they make it look like the message here is that Putin's failing miserably, and what every news station, and I know this has gone across all of them, is that the only people next to him are yes men. Both the right and the left have both been saying this nonstop, that anybody that says, hey, we're failing here, we're going against him, that he says that he's just, being a Kim Jong-un and putting him on the squad, right? Nothing sits right. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below, but be nice. Again, thank you. So what do you think? Are the cabezas rolling down the street, or is this all Ganda? Don't know. They're making him look like Stalin. That was one of the main comparisons that everybody's trying to make. They've also compared him to the German leader of WW2. This is heavily. These are mental mind games they're playing on both sides. I would love to have more information from the Bear side, though, but they're banned everywhere. When they silence they silenced even smaller journalistic enterprises that are not connected with the Russian government. So that's kind of scary. And then before we continue, I do want to remind you. So if you guys have not already, you guys know that I got an energy solar generator that's running this whole thing. In fact, we have 2 power bars. All my music, all my lights are all on a Flex 1500 solar generator. Now, first of all, if you guys haven't seen this, this is one of the most badass solar generators out there. But what really sets this apart, so a lot of people I've seen them message me and say, well, I've got this or this brand or this brand. The difference between this one and some of those other ones is those other ones are self-contained and they are not expandable. So if they say, blank 1500, that is all they are. You cannot expand them. You cannot put extra battery life on them. You charge it, and that's exactly what you get. With the Energy, this is limitless battery power because essentially you can connect up to 96 batteries. Just one battery would run an entire campsite, or it would run up to a few rooms of your house, depending on how many cords you could be plugged in at the same time. The other part of this is it's modular. Now, my solar panels are on the way. I got the portable 100 watts, so 4 of them can charge this thing in just over 3 hours. So you're talking about if you're using it during a sunny day, again, you may, after the sun goes down, you may have an entire night of power and you don't even have to worry about it. But the difference is when they have these mods, you can actually add this different mod in the middle, which is a supercharger, where instead of you can hook up 4 100 watt panels or a 400 watt panel, you can actually do 8 or 12 panels and be charging it from your car and from the wall. That is the difference between this. A lot of them, this one is intelligent, so you can charge it multiple ways, whereas other ones, you'll have to charge it in your car, or you have to charge it in your wall, or if you want to do solar, you can only charge it by solar. This is flexible. It's one of the most flexible ones out. That's why they call it the Flex 1500. And also it is expandable. 96 batteries. It's unbelievable. So if you want one, there is a waiting list. If you are going to be one of the few that gets it sooner than later, you got to go over to marfooglenews.com/energy. Again, this is something that if you want to end up getting, you've got to get on the list. marfooglenews.com/energy. We are working to try to get them to do some sort of bundle. We'll see if they will do that later down the road. But right now, they're so coveted that there is now a waiting list. So if you have a CPAP machine, or if you have an oxygen machine, or anything that needs to be powered through any kind of SHTF situation, this is one of the best ones. It's silent. No one will hear it. That's another thing. There won't be any desperate people coming in, trying to snag it from you because it can hear you all the way down the street. It is absolutely silent. It is running right now. I can't even run a desk fan, but I can run this. All right, and then remember, marfooglenews.com/energy, code Marfoogle. I really believe that this could either save lives or at least make a whole lot of storms convenient. Think about all the stuff you can do with this. All right, Dex, let's get our next caller on. It looks like we have another. Is that a first time? Yes, we got another first-time caller, Dean. And Dean is calling from Indiana. So let's get Dean on the phone. And then Dean is going to be talking about, looks like a similar subject here. Let's see. And then Dean, when you pop in, just want to let you know I'm turning up your volume, so maybe start out quiet. Zippy Moons, thanks for the Ninja Genie over on D-Live. Truth Wins, Rapture, Memo. Thank you, Stormblade, for gifting out badges. End Times, thank you for stopping in and dropping diamonds all over the place over on D-Live. And then J-Girl, that's me. Love you all. And Laguna Berry, thank you for going above and beyond with another Ninja Genie. Says, I still think it's a big distraction from other things. B and them are up to no good. Oh, I believe you. But again, I think that we should follow what they're trying to tell us because the pattern shows a big Fantastic Freddy on the way. Mercer1 said go to his Day Live channel after Adam. Much love. Serenity PA, I will check it out. All right, Dex. Looks like
Dean is now live.
Dean is live. Let's go. What's going on, Dean?
Hello, Adam. How are you? And thank you and Dex both for what you do for us and the Fugel fam. Really appreciate it.
All right. So what's going on with the VA?
I'm retired U.S. Army, and I'm calling on a similar subject but different in this regard. The billions of dollars that the Veterans Administration received recently in the Military Times article that Dex had pulled up, it shows that they're going to actually close a bunch of buildings and then they're going to build a bunch of new ones. And I've got a son who his disabilities didn't hit him till 10 years after coming back, and they are not settling his claim, which mine was settled a long time ago, and so was my wife, who also served. But I'm not looking for any praise. I'm concerned because they're spending all this money on buildings and people to occupy those buildings, and they make you call an 800 number that goes to an answering service that is somebody at their house answering the phone somewhere in the country. So they're not even working a lot of times from the actual buildings they're inhabiting, but they're opting to, co-op this out to a bunch of other paid employees that are working from home. So it's really, really ironic that nobody has, thrown up the red flag and said, okay, we're looking at a lot of other things right now, but we've forgotten about these guys, which I know there's been examples that have happened here recently where they've done service members a little ugly. But, I'm here to let you know that God bless you and Dex for having the audacity to do what other places won't. And that is to come on every night, put forth information, let people make their decision what they want to do with that information, and allow them to act on it. But I'm not requesting that anybody do anything in particular. If you call the numbers, you're only going to get one of those people in a house somewhere in the country. So even the agencies that are set up to help people or veterans, they can't help because they're running into the same problem that we are when we call the 800 number. So,
by the way, it sounds like,
I don't know.
It sounds like they already have this plan to shut down. when they say in one of these pieces, it says, in planning documents, VA officials cautioned that the closures and new facility constructions are several years away at the earliest. So they're kind of saying, they're like, oh, it's happening, but don't worry, it's a couple years down the road. It's like they're kicking the ball down the road. And by the way,
and again, that's not true, Adam, because I can tell you one of the VA facilities here in Indiana has been, actually two of them have been totally remodeled inside, and then actual wings added. So, I mean, they're already doing this. So, but I'm saying when that money was augmented for them, I don't believe that was the purpose that they were given that money for. And I'm not sure who can stop that. I don't know if there's any one person or, that can tackle that and say, no, you're not going to spend it the way you think you are. You're going to spend it the way that we intended you to spend it and whatever the law says. So, I've not researched the law because I know it's going to be pretty lengthy. And quite frankly, it's not going to matter because they're doing it. And right now, there's no way to stop it.
I saw an interesting name in there, but it doesn't look like it's the same one. Might be family with. It says the Rand, of course, Corporation, and Rand, and then they said the Epstein family.
Oh,
but yeah.
Right.
So anyway, but here's the thing, that whenever they say anything regarding VA and restructure, when they're restructuring, they're shifting money around and they're trying to grab money back from it. It seems to me it's always they're taking money away from and trying to get the same job done with less money. Yet they put tons and tons of money into these crazy programs that you never, it's just like, I mean, there was endless, just the stupidity of some of the programs that they do are just, it's insane. And they always have some sort of, and a lot of it is like social justice stuff, especially right now, which is absurd stuff like painting, $10,000 murals and things like that. It's like, we can do without a mural. What about the guy who gave his leg for his country? How about that guy?
Right.
Yeah.
I kind of pulled a you and Dex. I went in unbeknownst to them and did a recording on behalf of my son. And the leadership in the building where I live, it's an actual compensation pension center. So when I recorded them, they told us they cannot even send a examine, like a doctor, to the house to examine him or to even look into his claim, that he had to come to them. So he had to be heavily, I don't know if I can say, okay, let's say he got a jab, but he got it in a pill form, and to take him there. And, that wasn't possible. So they kept sending him appointment letter after appointment letter. And he's like, look, I can't leave the house. And they continued to say, look, you got to come to this appointment. So it was one of those back and forth things. But when I went in and recorded them, they actually told me this on video, that we can't help your son. And it just so much, getting a person in a VA paid for vehicle and driving, 20 miles, to take a look at him. So, I know that the previous caller had talked about the home care and stuff being cut off, but they won't do any sort of leaving. They're actually housed in a building that's paid for by us. So all the agencies are there too. So, I mean, it's well protected. They don't have to answer any questions, and they're not going to. So I was lucky to get that on film. It's still up there, and I'm not going to say where to find it. and getting anybody in trouble. But, you know, I've tried myself every avenue to try and help him. And just, I run into a dead end. So I know all these people that say we're helping veterans and we're doing this and that. That's a bunch of malarkey. You know, they can't be, because they're running into the same problem that I am. You know, but they continue to collect money on behalf of us. There's so many places that do that. And, you know, it's unfortunate, but people don't take time to research and say, okay, you know, maybe this isn't the best way to do it. But right now I'm saying don't give anything to anybody saying that they're going to help veterans, including the VA itself. You know?
Well, I would say
I'd like to extend it out to everybody else, but
I would
won't
say
do that.
I would say do your research before you do anything, before you give away. I do understand that. There's a lot of, I mean, with any kind of charity, if you actually look at what they do, if they're helping with actual legislative changes that will help, then that's one good thing. But with anything where all of these people give money to starving children in Africa, and they're, you know, it's like 4% or something goes to the actual children, and the rest goes to the guy who's making the commercial for the children, right? So I get what you're saying.
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
That's why I love your show so much. Like every night I listen to you, I'm thinking, you know, he's right on target. You're always right over the target.
Well, thank you so much for calling, and thank you for your service. Again, Dean.
Well, thank you for taking the call.
Dean, thank you. Again, thank you for your service, sir, and I appreciate you so much. And it's your first time call. Don't make it your last, okay?
I won't, and I really appreciate you, Adam and Dex.
All right, you have a great night. Bye-bye. By the way, and it sounded like Dean actually had sounded like Dean had a video somewhere. If he's got, I don't know if he gave you a link, Dex, but we can always link it on our website.
No, I don't think he wanted to give it any more exposure. I don't think it was something of that nature, but yeah, he does have that video.
I get what you're saying. And then up next, or in queue, is Tag. So let's see here. Let's go over, and then we're going to talk about the Kremlin lashes out at Poland for siding with UKR. In a blistering social media post, former President Dmitry Medvedev, now a top Kremlin security advisor, lashed out at Poland for its support of UKR, reviving and escalating decades-long tensions between Moscow and Warsaw. It says that Poland's surprisingly spirited defense of UKR would prove expensive and pointless. Of course, that was what Medvedev, am I saying that right? Medvedev?
I say Medvedev. I can't even say it now. I say Medvedev in my mind. But I don't know if that's correct.
Medvedev predicted ominously, adding he was confident that Warsaw would make the right choice and embrace Russia again. So one thing is, so since he is a top Kremlin security advisor, is that telling us that they're heading to Poland after this? That they're, after they're done with UKR, they're going to roll into there and say, hey, we thought you were going to welcome us with open arms after this. I don't know. It says in Monday's post on the Telegram social network, Medvedev lamented that the, quote, interests of Polish citizens have been sacrificed to Russophobia by talentless politicians and their puppeteers. In the United States, he says he branded Polish leaders, two of whom, Jarosław Kaczyński and Mieczysław Morawiecki, traveled to besieged Kiev last week with other Eastern European leaders to meet the President Vladimir political imbeciles who were spreading vulgar ganda against the bear. So one thing I want to point out too, Zelensky wears this same outfit like every day, and I know most of you are like, well, he's in a zone and all of this. That's not on accident. There are people advising him on what to wear to appeal to the people, to appeal to the world. I guarantee you. He has suits, and he has not been out like in the front lines fighting with them. He could put on a suit, but he purposely does that. So just so you know, and I think literally every time I see him, he's in the same exact outfit. Dex, go ahead.
Well, two comments. One, I think there was a congressman that sort of complained. He's like, you're on stage in front of every member of the U.S. Congress, and you can't put on a shirt and tie. But I think that was maybe a little crass of that congressman.
Well, if he said he's probably getting a lot of crap for it. Oh no, I'm saying no. I get why he's wearing going casual. I mean, but it says to everybody that like they're right at our doorstep. Like I'm in my war gear. He's not. He's safe. He wouldn't be meeting all these smiling people in suits and ties if he wasn't safe. He's in the same building as these guys wearing this. If he was going safe. Yeah, exactly. These guys are all chatting, and they're going to go out to lunch and eat steaks afterwards. He's in front of the media. The media is there. He is safe right here in this moment. He could wear a suit here and then go and put on the fatigues for when he does his videos out and about on the street, right?
And we don't really know where he is, right? I mean, he could be anywhere with today's modern technology. So he could be, this room could be in any location in Europe. He can be filmed in any location in Europe and could look like he's in any location in Europe.
Yeah, a lot of folks have been wondering if he's actually in Poland, and of course now President B is going over there. Isn't that funny? Just for the last week, that people have thought that he may have been in that in Warsaw.
Yeah, that is. So my other comment, though, real quick, for those for the history point of view with the bear, Poland was regarded by them as a state that was a satellite state that was a sphere of interest back in the USS letter R days, right? So keep that in mind. Now they were never part of the actual Union, but they were always revered from that country, the bear country, as a satellite state that was of specific interest. So, when you mentioned would they be next, it's like, sure, like any one of those Eastern Baltic states, including Poland and others that were part of that sphere of interest that was all considered, Eastern Europe are potential targets in at least what they're telling us in his mind as this notion of how do you get back the union that they once had, right?
I don't know what's truly going on because the entire world is against them. But then again, you have their allies like the dragon over in the east and all these other countries. Something could totally flip on its head overnight. And we find out that everything is not what it seems. It says that concerns grow that the Belarusian forces are about to join the conflict in Ukraine. Now, I don't know how many forces they actually have, but this would also give into the narrative that like they don't have any forces, or that they've lost so many forces that they need Belarusian, right? I've heard a few people say that on Twitter, saying, "Oh, are they joining because they're out of troops?" Right? They're all. Do you think that 200,000 have perished fighting the city folks? When you see the actual videos of what happens, by the way, when you hear all these stories of the city folks like fighting for their lives, most of the videos are Russian soldiers being chased out because they're not engaging with the citizens. The citizens are like, there's even one of the videos we showed you the other day. It's like the elderly couples like walking them out and saying, "Get out of here." It's like, the thing is both sides. I mean, any country that goes to conflict right now, most soldiers are not going to engage just random citizens. It's not. If we didn't do that even, there was collateral damage, we would looked down upon if we just shot civilians. Now in the Middle East, of course, tons of civilians ended up perishing from airstrikes and things like that, and I'm sure from stray bullets. But it wasn't something they just walked down the street and took people out in the bread line. Dex?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, no matter what side you're on, these are humans, right? And they all have some form of moral compass, and that typically, leads people to do the right thing, even when they're doing what's right for their country or their command or their lead, right? Now, don't get me wrong. There's always bad apples. There's always somebody out there that on any side and in any prior conflict that have done some pretty, horrific things that most people don't like to hear about, but everyone sensationalizes. But like you said, I mean, an older couple pushing out, a soldier, it's probably not as uncommon as you would think, because that person who they're pushing out probably is, has at least some, sense of moral compass as to what to do. He's there to, do a job, not necessarily engage with citizens, right?
No, exactly. Now, as far as them, Belarusian, this was the Belarusian president, by the way, the same gentleman right here, the one right here in the middle with the different jacket. This is the same gentleman who was pictured in front of that battle map saying that Moldova was after UKR. It sounds like they're already involved. That's another thing, Dex. It's like, how is he actually showing the battle map if they aren't already involved? It sounds like Belarus has been involved in this whole thing from the beginning, from when this where all of a sudden there was 20,000 rocket launchers in Belarus, where this whole thing started.
Right. Well, I mean, technically they're involved in the sense that they host the staging points, right? They allowed the buildup. They allowed bases to be created. They allowed build up along their borders. So, that wasn't against their wish. They welcomed that in and said, hey, come on in, we'll help you. Right. So to some extent they are involved. They just haven't, necessarily crossed the border, so to speak, with their own soldiers yet that we know of.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It all seems like Ganda, especially the stuff that came out of there. And I don't know who's the bad guy or if everyone's the bad guy. And guess who the victim may be? The victim may be us. All of us. And I mean U.S., Canada, Europe, Russia, Poland, UKR, every civilian that is not in the government will be the victim. And then inside, President Putin's $500 million super yacht with cinema and gold toilet roll holder. So I want to point out now, what's funny is they should have these kind of articles for every $500 million yacht. What's funny is you see the same article about someone else's yacht, say if it's Kanye West or President Obama or anything, right? And it's shed in a positive light. I just want people to realize the kind of stigma they put in everything when they are writing something. It's very easy to use a couple power words and shift your focus right away. It says the sickening luxury enjoyed by Vladimir Putin, right? My point is that all of these billionaires that have these $500 million, $1 billion yachts, is all of them are sickening. You do not need that much. That $1 billion, mind you, can buy a country, okay? And they spend it on a boat that they get to go around and ride around in and have a full staff serve them hand and feet. These elites are something else, man. Dex?
Yeah, and wasn't that Robin Leach's job back in the day? Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. He would go on all these yachts and these big extravagant things. So yeah, there was a time when we did this and it was fun, but now, like, as you're saying, we're doing this and it's done in a way to point out a specific villain, if you want to call it that, or vilify someone, right?
Well, and by the way, so like, So people think that our prez makes like $200,000 or $400,000 a year or something, whatever the official salary is. I'm sure it's probably gone up in the last few years. But even as like, I think it was Obama was like 400,000 a year or 376 or something. But you have to realize with their information is one of the most powerful tools here. These politicians make millions of dollars, not even at the president level. We're talking about senators in Congress. Why do you think before CV, all of them dumped certain stocks and they got busted for it? They dumped all of these other stocks. Why do you think they all bought into all of the main 4 companies that did the... Why do you think they did that? Well, they had information and they made millions and millions of dollars. Putin, I don't know. I guess you're more of like a ruler, right? You're more of a... Is that tax dollars? How did he buy a $500 million yacht? Unless, does he seize it from a Russian oligarch? Like, how does he make his money, right? Well, same way that all of them do, right? Through information and power and deals and being paid by other countries. And it's like, my point is all of the leaders of the world that are up at this level are sickening the way they live. Dex?
Yeah, the Speaker of the House, for example, I want to say the salary is somewhere around 220 to 240,000 a year, but a net worth of, I don't know, 130 to 140 million. You know, how does she make that much money? How does she amass that much money? We know how, right? Years of being in that position and working inside deals, et cetera, that benefit herself. But that's just yet another example.
Well, no, and you could go on
job, but
either side of the aisle. By the way, just so we're being fair, funny.
Yeah, and I'm not naming her name.
No,
I'm
no,
just saying
well,
as a position. Like you could flip it around and put Newt in there, right? When he was Speaker of the House, I guarantee you he made a lot more money than he actually made in a salary.
Oh, no, yeah. I'm just saying both sides. Any of these politicians are just sickening rich. They get their house provided in most cases. The mayor gets the mayoral, village, palace, manor, whatever. But $130 million, right? And you would think, like, for being the speaker, that they could speak, but that's just too much to ask. And 411, thanks for all your hard work. Thank you, Vitoli Solomon. Thank you so much for subscribing. Survival living, kind of strange, elderly, shooing troops away, especially since all civilians were prepared on the rooftops with flame in hand. I think it's Ganda, URK, dressed in bear uniforms. Yeah, and they were actually visiting their parents on their break from the commercial that they were shooting. And parents are like, get back to work. Well, make some money so we can go stand in line for bread and get sniped for our commercial. Bones and Tubbs Show. As far as the Antarctic temp goes, it's probably just the aliens coming out to stop a nuclear exchange again. Keep up the great work. Bones and Tubbs, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much, and I appreciate that. Stephen McMahon, believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. That's a perfect analogy there. SP, thank you so much. Says, I'm a lady as usual. God bless Dex and your family. And stay healthy and stay safe. Laura Shepard, thank you so much for your support. And then Bobby of Joy says, my daughter is a veteran caregiver. Not only will this be devastating to her family, but also to our entire family dynamic. Praying for our vets. Myself as well, thank you. And Bobby of Joy, I am sorry that your daughter is possibly going to go through that. I hope that enough people make a big noise and it never gets hurt. Or I hope it gets hurt, and I hope they never do it. All right, Dex, let's get Tag on, a.k.a. Let's see here. Life Done Free. Let's get Life Done Free on. And
Adam, Tag is live.
All right, perfect. Tag, you're live on Marfoogle News. What's going on?
Well, hey, Marfoogle fam. Hey, first time caller, long time listener. Adam and Dex, thank you for taking my call. Hey, I'm a 100% off-grid homesteader, and, we provide pretty much everything we need, water, power, food, et cetera. And I just wanted to get on and tell everybody that, the supply chain issues are very real. We're struggling to get fertilizer, grains, even fencing. And what's crazy is I live right smack in the middle of farm country. It's just a big game of control. And just wanted to say, we've got to take control of our lives. And, if you can't provide for yourself, you might be left hanging and help is not coming.
Well, and tag, that's pretty nuts, especially when you're in the Midwest or something and you're right in the middle of all these farms and you can't get things like fertilizer or the normal things that you think are right down the street. They're being shipped all over the place and they're being stuck this place and stuck that place. That's pretty scary.
Yeah, and it was everything. I can't get sweet potatoes. I went to an auction last week and just a T-post to build a fence. Used old rusted ones were bringing more than brand new ones because you can't get them.
Isn't that just absolutely crazy as far as the wood prices too? We thought about a couple years ago about slowly just trying to build our own house for way cheaper because the house prices here in Washington, if you want to get a shack, essentially it's $500,000. Any real actual nice house that would be $100,000, $200,000 just a few years ago is now $1 million. A regular kind of house in Seattle is $500,000. Anywhere else, it wouldn't be like that. And because we have family here, we're stuck, right? So we thought about building our own house because at the time, if you built or did a prefabricated house, it would be okay. But now wood and everything else has just skyrocketed up. And it's not even, there's not much point.
Yeah, when I built my house myself, and it's a 4,000 square foot home, just a sheet of 7/16 OSB with $8. Today it's $54.
I'm sorry, it was $8?
$8 for a sheet of OSB when I built this house, and it's $54 today.
Yeah, that is a huge jump. Well,
yeah.
So, tag, another thing. So, as a homesteader, is there anything else that you're running into that you think that people? Do you have any tips or anything that you would like to tell people that they might want to end up doing?
Yeah, I'm trying to live my life as free as I can. And, part of that is getting rid of stroke. If you got to pay for your power, that means the power company has stroke over you. If anything that you've got to depend on somebody else for is stroke over you. And, I just challenge everybody to break those chains and just try to live as, as free as you can, at each step. I was kind of forced into homesteading. I didn't really plan on it, quite like this. I've always been kind of a prepared minded person, but I'll make a long story short. But, my career I've spent in raising capital for startup companies. I worked in the financial world. And when the thing was going on, the CEO called me and said, "Hey, I want to mandate the thing for everybody. How do you feel about this?" And I said, "Hey, no way. We have no ownership over, people's bodies, and I'm 100% opposed to this." Well, a week later, I found out through an email that, hey, we're going to go ahead and do this. And, 2 weeks later, he called me and said, "Where are we at on this?" And I said, "I refuse to do it." And we parted ways right then. And I decided right then I will never be a servant again. I am not working 40 years for somebody so that I can be disposable. And so go live free. That's my advice. Live free.
Wow, that's incredible. So it's like how, and by the way, now look at it where everything is dropped. You can go into restaurants, you can go everywhere without. And it's like all these people that did it thinking, oh, I won't be able to travel. I won't be able to do this. There was so many different things that people did that they essentially said, oh, I'm not going to be able to travel. And they did it because of that. My mother-in-law did it. And she's like, well, I plan on traveling in the future. Okay. Well, now look at it. A lot of these people are regretting it supremely. And the list of all of that stuff got released. And it's like, holy moly. All of those risks for what? That's scary.
Yeah. It's so insane to me because it's really not about the thing to me. It's about how dare a company say that it has any control over its employees' bodies. This is just insanity. I'm not going to share my physical. I'm not going to share any of that. It's just complete insanity. We've lost our mind. We've lost our way. But I think it's just about control anyway. Just control everything that we do. Control the food, control the people. I think Henry Kissinger said that.
Yep. And again, Dex wants to say something.
Yeah, Adam, I was going to say the tag story is actually in a YouTube video, and we've got a link to it, and we'll put it on the website. It's already up there, so if you want to see it.
Oh, thank you for that.
So letting you know those links are up there.
Oh, sweet.
Well, I don't want to take up a bunch of time, but I would, again, just try to go live free, everybody. Go challenge it every single day.
All right. Well, Life Done.
We don't have to be servants.
Life Done Free is an awesome name to put on there. So I'm pulling it up right now. Thank you. And obviously it comes from, you had personal experience with that. I was forced to homestead is the top video there. So we will make sure to send people over. And again, if you guys have not checked it out, tag over at Life Done Free. Make sure to go do so. This is super cool. Well, hey, thank you so much again. And oh my gosh, wait a second. So you bought your house or you built your house more recent.
Yeah. So I had actually, I had started on it a couple years ago, but it wasn't done.
Whoa.
And when all of this stuff happened, we sold our house, put it on the market, moved into an unfinished home. We actually showered outside for 11 days for me to get the plumbing hooked up.
For some reason I was thinking, and then OSB being $8 and then $54, that's just in the last couple years that has shot up like that.
Yes.
I'm thinking in my head, I'm thinking, and then I thought of OSB afterwards. I'm like, wait a second, $8 was just a couple years ago. Now it is so much more. If a house if you built yourself was going to cost $100,000, it would now be $500,000.
Yes.
Think about that. That's just the materials. So that's incredible. Well, hey, Tag, thank you so much for calling in, and I appreciate you, and it was a pleasure talking to you.
Yep, and thank you guys for having me, and hold the line, don't give an inch. See you guys.
All right, thank you so much. Life Done Free. Make sure to go over and check him out. He is obviously speaking his mind. Make sure to head over and check out Life Done Free. That is Tag Dex.
I'm jealous. I wish I was completely living off the grid and completely free of all of that, as he called it, stroke, right?
Yeah, I've never heard that before. But Dex, do you want to talk about our partnership with My Patriot Supply and then go into the web only?
Absolutely. So, we talk about food, we talk about being prepared. One of the easiest ways to do it is to just buy prepping supplies, prepping food, long-term storage food. There are other ways to do it. There's, the harder way, which is do it yourself. And there's plenty of people out there that can tell you how to do that. And other prepper channels that we work with do that as well. So if you want to do that, go learn. If you just want to find a simple solution and get some of the things that you need, go take a look at marfooglenews.com/prep, where we work with My Patriot Supply, and we have access to discounts on a 3-month supply of food. You save up to $150 on that. You have access to water filtration, air filtration, lots of additional prepping supplies, everything from radios to books to seeds, iodine, etc. If you can think of something in the prepping field, it's likely there if it's still in stock. So go take a look. Go to marfooglenews.com/prep and make sure to take advantage of the food discounts that they have available, because as we know, we just told you all these prices are going to go up because they have to. There's a lack of fertilizer. There's lack of there's supply chain issues with this and supply chain issues with that. So we're going to see this space. It's going to be, it won't surprise me if I actually think about not buying groceries and eating some of my prep food, because it's going to get tough at some point. So those are sort of the trade-offs you have to make. This isn't always like for when the SHTF happens. Sometimes you make these decisions and you realize later that, the money you spent now is actually a lot more valuable in the future because it's going against inflation, right? When all of a sudden a loaf of bread costs you a fortune and you have, preps that you either made yourself or you purchased in the past, those might be a lot cheaper now, right, to actually consume. So keep that in mind. While we're on this topic, and again, that's marfooglenews.com/prep.
Let me point out
ahead,
something.
Adam.
This in 5, so say a 10-year span. What have you had bad things happen in the last 10 years? Have you had your power go out for long periods of time in the last 10 years? Think about this. The long-term survival food can last a long time, actual years and years. Think about just having something there that just in case anything happens down the line of that period of time, you have something there. And say there are no stores or something like CV happens where there's nothing on the shelves, you go into your stash and you have stuff there. So anyways, that's just
it's an option, right? It gives you the flexibility to know that, oh, this month it's going to be difficult. Well, I have something to fall back on, right? Yeah, it doesn't have to be, the Walking Dead scenario where you need, you think the world's literally coming to an end. There can be real life scenarios where we're all still in our homes, but we need to have food, right? So go take a look. On that subject, if you want to learn more about all the other topics that we can't really talk about, head over to marfooglenews.com and click on the thumbnail for today's show. And for those of you on YouTube, open up that description and click on the show notes. It's the first link. And when you do that, it'll take you to this page, which has all of the information for the articles we covered earlier. It also has the caller information down below. And then right in the middle is this web-only content. Everything else we can't talk about. Too far to one side, too hot for TV, so to speak. So a lot's going on there. Stuff going on with the Project V company that we can't say their name. Things happening around the family of our current administration. That news just keeps expanding. The former Bill, I'll just call him that, who used to head up the DOJ. He's got a lot more information that has come out or that he's saying and some statements that are being made. If you want to learn about that and you want to learn about a lot more. Oh, and by the way, Rogan even goes off on one of these topics. So plenty of additional content for you to go look at, learn, and get some other perspectives on what's happening in the space. marfooglenews.com. We take the time to put this together for you every day when we do our main shows. So go take advantage of it. Take a look. If you're on YouTube, open that description, first link. It's called show notes. Also, for everyone that's looking for the contest, not only did we email it out to everyone who has a Marfoogle alerts to make sure you have the link, because we had a lot of complaints that people couldn't find it. It is on every one of these web pages. So when you come to our web page and you're looking at the show notes, scroll to the bottom, you will see the entry for how to enter into the EMP Shield contest. Only 2 days left. So get in, and I would highly recommend you get in because the odds are pretty good. So get in. Do an entry for today, do an entry for tomorrow. There's like 7 or 8 different ways you can enter in the contest. So take advantage of that. Again, marfooglenews.com.
All right. Thank you, Dex. And thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Several folks ended up popping in. BOD. I was just thinking yesterday how I miss you guys, you and Shan. Thank you so much for your support, but also just love to catch up sometime. Thank you for multiple times popping in. Thank you. And then it looks like Bible Talk 777, my Alexa Pure Pro, was delivered the other day. And then it cut me off. Oh, cool. So, by the way, Dex has one. I do not have an Alexa Pure Pro yet. In fact, mine got lost. But that was on
Breeze too.
That was on the local post office's fault. So I am getting one of those. In fact, I am getting a few things, including I'm getting a couple emergency radios. So, and then Ann411, thanks for all your hard work. Thank you so much. Survival Living, Bones and Tubbs, Stephen McMahon, SB, over on DLive. Thank you, everybody that continues to keep the DLive crew alive. Zookeeper Kim's, thanks for all you do. We appreciate it. Keep it magical, Kim. Love you wherever you're at. Tesla 474, Carrie Ray, Mark's Drums, Samura Sun, and everyone else. It looks like, who was that said somebody was live after me? I think that was Serenity PA said somebody was live. I can't remember who, though. Was it End Times? Let's see. Oh, MRSA 1. That's right. Make sure to go check out MRSA 1 on DLive. Thank you, everybody. And then, by the way, after this show stops, we do a shoutro where we say thank you to everybody in the chat and all of the supporters. Thank you so much. Make sure to go over and follow Marfoogle Jams. If you like my stupid looper music, then go over and follow it. All right. And then, again, we have future plans for that channel. Other than that, for those of you that like my goofy music, then you go over and follow. Otherwise, we will see you later. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.
Everybody just gotta go say, I'm gonna be okay. Starvation on a really bad day. Everybody just gotta go say, I'm gonna be okay. Starvation on a really bad day. Everybody just gotta go say, I'm gonna be okay. Starvation on a really bad day. Everybody just gotta go say, I'm gonna be okay. Starvation on a really bad day. Everybody just gotta go say, I'm gonna be okay. Got the Lisa Ho and the Chance Paladin, Miss Me and that Paul Nielsen. Next day in a rep code readiness. Everybody let's hop right in. Life is better on Still CJ, Blaze, Panhole, Pepper, and the Watch Me Too. And the John 316. Everybody knows it's all about the Marfoogle. And the Stealth Mode, Deep State of Mind, and the Kathleen Bemis. Everybody do it, everybody getting in this. Oh, now open that Guinness and let's go into the end of the world with the Jungle Gym and the best of my girls. And everybody knows it's up, y'all. 73 and do everybody with the Senate bills and state bills that they legalize medical induced murder. Whoa, whoa. John Kingston, everybody in low. Incognito in a little low way with the Sweden. Love the music. Incognito, Lulia, Sweden, Via, finger back down. Everybody gonna go and they go back down. See ya, do it, back around, love in the background. With the fairy dogs in the Jeep. On the 71, Chad Gambler in the background. Hey, starvation on a really bad day. Everybody just gotta go say, I'm gonna be okay. Starvation on a really bad day. Everybody just gotta go say, I'm gonna be okay. Starvation on a really bad day. Everybody just gotta go say. Everybody with the bottle in the ghost. See Jesus when you go down the coast. And an Natalie D and the W and our last hey bro. And everybody gonna say Paul. And Leon Goodson in the Paul. That we have and everybody go. Oh, hey, big shout out to Arku Nova. Thanks for everybody keep pushing it upwards. Us do, I say, starvation on a really bad day. Everybody just gotta go say, I'm gonna be okay. Starvation on a really bad day. Everybody just over on the big old Twitter. A stealth mode and an incognito. Luli, a Sweden, everybody eat-o. Oh, now, everybody burrito. When they go to the van down the street with the new road. Everybody wanna go see her on the Scooby-Doo, right? Oh, everybody gonna do it and a new night. Pale Horse Rider, everybody on a new night. Hey, Pale Horse Rider, nice to see you again tonight, man. Sweet that you stopped by again. Hey, dude, keep it, everybody positive. It's just such a, I love the Foogle fam. I love that we have such a great, amazing group of people here. We keep pushing each other up. We don't always agree. That is okay. Starvation. All right, let's make a new one. And definitely, I believe the top supporter is out of Canada tonight. Actually, I think Irish Rebel is the top supporter, tied with our Canadian Songsmith. All right, let's make a new one. Now they tipping, ripping on